Would you dare to hold a cursed hand and let an entity enter your body? A simple joke between friends turns into a real nightmare, and what happens next is too disturbing to forget. Get ready, because this story will give you goosebumps until the very last second. The story begins with a boy named Cole who arrives at a party, desperately looking for his brother, Duckett. After asking several people, he finds his brother in a trance-like state, inside a room. When he tries to get him out of there, something unexpected happens. Duckett stabs his own brother with a sharp object and then stabs himself. The scene then ends, and we are introduced to the main character, Mia. Mia is very sad, as she lost her mother a few years ago. Even though her father tries to get closer to her to make her feel better, she always creates a barrier. While washing the dishes, Riley, the brother of her best friend, Jade, gets in touch to ask for a ride. Since she has nothing better to do, Mia agrees. On the way back home, they find an injured kangaroo, which seems to be in a lot of pain, probably because it was run over. Seeing the animal in that state, Riley suggests that Mia put it out of its misery by running over it with her car. However, at the last second, she hesitates. They arrive at Riley's house, where Jade is distracted by her cell phone. After Riley complains about not being picked up, he threatens her, saying he's going to tell her mother. At this point, we discover some interesting things. The first is that a boy named Daniel, who is now dating Jade, was Mia's boyfriend 3 years ago. In other words, they have a family connection. In addition, Mia discovered a group of people at school who hold very curious secret meetings, which we'll see later. Mia convinces Jade to go to the next mysterious meeting to see what's going on. After telling her mother that she'll be late, they get ready to leave. The problem is that Riley insists on going along. Using the strategy that if they didn't take him, he would turn them in, the girls have no other option but to take him. When they arrive at the meeting, we quickly realize that Mia is not welcome by the group. This is because, after the loss of her mother, Mia has become very withdrawn and shy, to the point that her presence becomes uncomfortable for others. At the meeting, we meet other characters such as Haley, Josh, and finally, Daniel, Jade's current boyfriend. The moment everyone was waiting for finally arrives, and without knowing what will happen, Mia volunteers. The girl is tied to a chair, and Haley recites the rules. She can only have contact with the entity for 90 seconds. If that time passes, the entity can stay forever. Then, a candle will be lit for the connection, and while holding a fake ceramic hand that is on the table, Mia must say, "Talk to me," to start the game. As soon as she can see the entity, she must say, "I'll let you in." At that moment, the young woman sees an older man for a moment. When they ask who it was, Haley says they don't know, because someone different always shows up. The others believe that Mia is making it up, and to prove her point, she does it again, becoming possessed by a different entity. Mia's eyes immediately change, and several paranormal events begin to occur in the house. Haley realizes that enough time has passed, but when she tries to separate Mia's hand, she can't. Knowing that the 90 seconds have already passed, a group of people separate Mia's hand, and after blowing out the candle, the connection is interrupted. Mia regains consciousness, and far from being scared, exclaims that it was the best experience of her life. Obviously impressed, Jade asks Haley if they can do it again. To do so, she suggests her own house, since the owner of the previous house was still scared by what had happened. The first to arrive at Jade's house is Daniel. Jade's mother leaves the house to do some shopping, and it is at this moment that the others take the opportunity to appear on the scene and, without wasting any time, start their macabre game again. Now, the first one to offer to play is Daniel. Before starting, the boy asks a rather clever question: "Where does this hand come from?" Josh comments that it belonged to a medium and that, if you break the outer layer of plaster, you will find a real hand underneath. "And if this story is true, where is the other hand?" asks Jade. "It is hidden in a secret place," answers Haley. But enough talk, the ritual is about to begin. Daniel takes the hand, and an entity takes control of his body. For some reason, the spirit begins to get very agitated, turning the chair and interacting strangely with a dog. Then it is Josh's turn. They take turns holding the embalmed hand and communicating with the next spirit. The most important moment happens when, seeing how all the adults were experiencing that thing, Riley volunteers to be the next one. However, Jade, as a responsible sister, says she won't allow it, because afterwards he'll be crying and unable to sleep. "Then I'll show you that I have courage," he tells her sister. And although Jade had said no, Mia says it will only be for 50 seconds, then everything will be fine. The surprising thing happens when, once possessed, the boy starts saying he's sorry, that he never wanted to leave her alone, much less hurt her. That's right, Riley was possessed by Mia's mother. Mia insists on talking to her even after more than 50 seconds. And that's why the situation gets worse when Riley starts banging his head repeatedly against a piece of furniture, hurting himself badly. The police arrive at the scene, question everyone, and since there really was no evidence that they had done anything, they are released. Due to the confusion, Mia keeps her hand and takes her home. Feeling guilty about what happened, she thinks it's a good idea to go see Riley at the hospital. However, as soon as she arrives, both Jade and her mother tell her that the best thing she can do is leave, or they'll have to call the police. After Mia's supposed mother possessed Riley, Mia started seeing glimpses of her everywhere, although she could never face her face. Since the girl didn't want to be alone and Daniel needed a place to stay, Mia offers him her house to spend the night, and Daniel accepts. The two go to sleep. But in the middle of the night, after having a nightmare about the day her mother passed away, Mia suddenly wakes up. It's at that moment that she can see the ghost of a woman getting up from a corner of the room, approaching the bed and licking Daniel's foot. Mia does everything she can to wake Daniel, and when the boy wakes up, he realizes that it was actually Mia who was licking his feet. He of course, gets up, grabs his things and leaves. By this point, Mia was completely desperate. Lighting the candle, she begins a new ritual, and her mother actually makes herself present. Being smart, she doesn't mention the phrase, "let you in," but simply says, "talk to me," thus starting a conversation. Mia asks if she really committed suicide, to which the woman says no, that she would never do that. What she says is that Mia should keep an eye on Riley, because now he is the one who needs help. And indeed, while Riley is receiving a bath in the hospital, he starts banging his head against a wall, proving that the boy is still possessed. The danger of this is that, according to Haley, if you lose your life while possessed, the ghosts will have your soul forever. The group meets again and, since at this point they already have more questions than answers, they decide to contact Cole, Duckett's brother, the boy who was stabbed at the beginning of the story and who, apparently, survived this event. Although they try to talk to him by all means, Cole doesn't want to know anything at all, and the only thing he says is that they should stop ruining people's lives. At this point, Mia has the idea of trying to contact Riley's spirit, doing something like an invocation, but in reverse. And in fact, it works, because a small figure appears before Mia. And instead of Mia saying, "I'll let you in," it is the small figure who says it. This only serves to prove that Riley's soul is on the other side and that the entities will not let him go so easily. Mia returns home still wondering what to do. It is at this moment that her father intercepts her, saying that he needs to talk to her to show her something that her mother left before she left. Basically, her father shows her a farewell note where her mother says goodbye before committing suicide, thus contradicting what her mother's spirit had told her a few hours ago. Mia goes into her room to try to talk to her mother, and it is at this moment that the entity tells her that what her father just said is a lie, because, in fact, that is not her father, but another entity trying to take his place. In addition, her mother's ghost tells her that she must end Riley's pain. At that moment, the entity enters the room and begins to fight with the girl. And her original father enters the room just as Mia defends herself with a pair of scissors, accidentally ending her own father's life. The next morning, Mia calls Jade, saying that she knows how to free her brother's soul, but that, in order to teach her, she must come to her house. But that was a lie. Because, in fact, Mia was already out of the hospital, just waiting for the moment for Riley to be alone. Mia enters the hospital and, when she is about to finish Riley off, she manages to see for a moment that kangaroo that was on the road, in a kind of revealing vision, which tells her that maybe, and only maybe, Riley has a chance to live. However, the spirit that was inside Riley tells her over and over again that she must get rid of him so that his soul will stay with them forever. So, making a difficult decision, Mia takes the boy to the side of the highway. And at that point, the big revelation comes. The ghost of her mother makes itself present again and, coming close to her ear, tells her that she must throw the boy onto the road, revealing that this entity was, in fact, never her mother, but another evil and macabre entity. At that moment, it is possible to see someone throw themselves onto the road, and just when we thought it was Riley, we discover that, in fact, it was Mia. Strangely, the girl wakes up as if nothing had happened, although apparently no one can see her. The scene moves to the hospital, where we can see that Riley has in fact managed to recover and regain consciousness. In the final scene, we can see a hand extended to where Mia was, and when she takes it, believing it to be her father, she is transported to another place, in front of some young people, where one of them looks at her in astonishment. Yes, now Mia has become one of the specters summoned by the hand. So, would you dare to play this game? Tell me in the comments. If you liked the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any chilling summary. Thanks for watching and be careful with the hands you shake out there. Until next time.